Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Making 3, and today I'm going to be giving you part 23 of What If Naruto Had the Ultimate Nature Bloodline. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto was appointed 6th Hokage after Nagato's defeat. And enjoy that guys over in Anime King 2. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support, and yeah, without further ado, would you say begin this new episode, start the intro. So, the last time we left off, things were peaceful at the moment in the Hidden Stone, as Onki was talking with Kurosaki. They will not inform the Raikage about the Nine Tails. Once the war was over, they had managed to overcome Konoha, then he would use the Nine Tails on Kumo as well. Then after that, he would go to the Sun and then Kiri, and the stone would conquer everything. It was then that they all felt a spike of chakra as Onki looked through his window. He had to perform the particle style as a massive fireball came towards his office that was going to scorch everything alive. Naruto clones started to pop up all around the village as Onki snarled in anger. How the hell did he escape? As Onki flew up as one of Naruto clones used all of the chakra that was currently inside of him as he performed the wood style, native to the sea of trees. As the pollen spread all around the village, Onki had to use his particle style to disintegrate the pollen, as chaos was ensuing all around. As Naruto made his way towards where he sensed a too large amount of chakra in stage mode, Han and Roshi didn't know what hit them as Naruto came down like a bullet. He was able to suppress the both of them. When Onki finally arrived, he saw Naruto standing there waiting on him. Onki thought the boy was a fool, standing here waiting because now he would not let him leave. And he was going to make sure those Fuinjutsu members hurry up with the seal, because they need to seal away the Nine Tails immediately. As Naruto gave him a warning, he told him that he better pray to Kami that he was not the one that comes here, because if he was gonna decimate the village down to the last man. With that, Naruto was gone a poof before they could grab him, as Naruto was reverse summoned back towards the Land of Lions, as Mufasa saw him and spoke to him there. As Mufasa also told him something about the previous owner of those eyes who had came to speak to him one time before. Something about forgiving himself. The man was just trailing off, as Mufasa remembered him saying that clearly, and then Naruto remembered his dream. Kurama noticed that Naruto's actions were reflected as emotions, usually. He didn't do things that he didn't want to do because his emotions were not in it, but now, he was doing things that his body react as normal to. Perhaps this was working somehow, but Kurama hated the feeling that he was getting. It was like he was taking some of Naruto's emotion as well, as he doesn't hate his container as usual. With that, Naruto was reverse summoned back to the Land of Fire, as both him and Shara, the blue lion, made their way. They ran. They ran as he arrived straight towards Konoha, Katetsu, and Izumo stopped Naruto, not believing that he said that he was who he was, as Naruto simply ran past them, not having time to waste here. After all, they heard that he was dead, so he could understand their paranoia. As Naruto arrived in the office, Menma was shocked, along with Minato, as they couldn't believe what they were seeing. As Naruto shook his head, they had that little faith in him, don't they? Kushina was called as she came to the office. She thought that Minato was ready to tell Katsumi, but why now? They planned it for tonight, but she sensed a chakra. Her eyes went wide as she crashed right into Naruto. Katsumi was confused why everyone was fussing all over her brother, like something bad happened. Some time passed after that as Naruto was currently at a council meeting, as he brought out the two-tailed beast that he had, along with Samehata. The council room was shocked when they saw the two Jinchurikis Minato had been planning the same thing. When Naruto heard that, he was proud. He was proud that his father was no longer staying in the back line. He was ready. The war was coming, and nothing could stop it. Naruto made his way to the monument as he looked over the village. As she finally found him, tears in her eyes, Sesame couldn't believe it. When she heard that he was back, it was a shock to her. She chose, and she had made up her mind, as she planted a kiss right on his lips. As she felt him kissing her back, she was happy. She was in bliss. So yeah guys, it was basically as left off. You guys can switch across the place, check out for yourself. So this begin this new episode. We begin this new episode in a flashback. It was a few days before Naruto had returned. Sesame was currently sitting alone. As she was behind her yard, she was in the garden. Her eyes not really focused on anything, as she was just watching everything unfold in front of her. As she watched the insects, the flies, everything flew around. She was unmoving as she just watched everything unfold. She heard footsteps but she did not turn. You know, most people would be angry if their future wife barely visits them in the hospital when they're in a really bad condition. She did not turn as Damon walked in front of her. He had bandaged over his body still. His expression was angry. Not directed towards her fully, but he was angry same way. She looked up at him. He saw her eyes. There was no emotion in them. It was like she was looking directly through him. "What happened to you?" he said. She looked at him and she wondered if he was just being dumb or stupid. So she didn't answer his question. He shook his head. "Let me guess. You're all bummed out about his death." "Well, maybe if he had been stronger, he wouldn't have been killed so easily," said Damien. Sesame said nothing. As Damien grunted at that, he was not getting a single reaction from her. "You know, I heard that you came by once to see me at the hospital. I wasn't even awake. And you didn't even come back a single other time." She looked up at him as she just watched him. "I'm talking to you," he said, as her eyes just looked at him. Before she got to her feet, as she stepped forward, he blinked as he watched her approach him. "The arrangement is off," she said. Damien paused at that. "Wait, what?" "Look, I know you're going through something right now, but don't do anything rash." "No, you don't understand," she said. "What you said a moment ago, the first thing I thought about was what would happen if I kill you." He froze at those words. Her tone sounded so cold and icy. How far would the backlash go? The dropout between my father and yours. But I was able to calm myself. So there isn't a future between us. If I could think of killing you so easily, because of that mouth of yours. So this arrangement between us is over. "You can't do this," he said. "This is for the betterment of the clan." "Perhaps. But it doesn't really matter to me," she said. "Because I don't want to be married with you. I don't know what I was thinking in the first place. Now I realize a big mistake I've made." As she stepped away, he grabbed her hand. "Wait!" She turned and pushed him away as he collapsed on the ground. "Do not touch me, Damien," she said. "This is over. There's no longer a reason for you to speak to me." She realized that she never liked him in the first place. There was no love, nothing between them. She was doing this because she had been angry at everything, the world, at Naruto, for what he did, breaking her heart. But now that he was dead, she didn't see the point of doing anything anymore. And she just walked away as Damien slammed his fist in the ground. End of a flashback. As Sesame just tell Naruto what happened after she kissed him. She wasn't going to be married to Damien anymore. They were no longer set to be married. He said nothing as he just looked at her. His eyes seemed to pour into her soul. "Say something," she said. "Anything." "I love you," he said. She blinked in shock. She didn't understand. "But your emotions..." "Yes, they have not fully surfaced yet. But there's something happening to me. Something that I cannot explain." As he looked towards his hand that was holding onto her hand. "I am not intentionally doing this, but my body is reacting in a way. towards you. I can't explain this feeling, but it's hitting me with so much force every now and then. And it's when I'm holding on to you, said Naruto. All I can think about right now is holding you in my arms and kissing you. I've never felt that before, since losing my emotions. Something inside me is stirring. The feeling. I felt this once before. I never told you this. But before I lost all of my emotions, while we were hanging out for the past 3 years, going on all those missions together, do you remember the night in Shima Town, when you almost died, he said? She remembered that quite clearly as she nodded. As a few missing links had set an explosive rig all over the building that she was in, it had all come collapsing down on her. And you saved me, she said. There was something there in my heart. At that very moment, the feeling of losing you, it was so overwhelming. I realized something there and then that I wasn't able to accept until now. And at that very moment is when I lost it all. When I couldn't feel a single thing. I rescued you. You hugged me and I felt nothing. But before that all happened, there was a spark. The thought of losing you was just too much for me. And the feeling, it overwhelmed me. And my body right now is reacting the same way. My hands are tingling. My throat is dry. The only reason I'm containing myself is because I can't physically feel the affection, but I know it's there. So I really think I love you, said Naruto. As her face, her cheeks were red. She held on to his other hand. But you still can't feel it, she said. No. But I'm gonna fix it, said Naruto. You are? There is something that is holding me back. Something that is stopping me from regaining my emotions. My body has already regained it, but my mind has not yet. So just give me some time. That's all I can ask you for. Time, he said. She pulled him into a tight hug. I don't want to lose you ever again, she said. I was unable to tell you how I feel before you left. And I don't want it to ever happen again. I want you to know I love you too. From the moment we started to hang out, when you first brought me to get tea, because you know how much I love tea, and my mom said it was a date. I felt so happy in hearing that, but I couldn't come to terms with my feelings then, because it was new, and I didn't know what they meant either. But from that day on, I loved you, and they never went away. After what you did, it hurt me, but they were always there. I was just using them as an excuse to try and make you regret what you did. But I just couldn't get over you, she said. And these feelings, I have them right now. Like I always have. When I heard that you were killed, something inside of me literally died. I don't know what it is, but my connection to you is so great that there was nothing else I thought about. I felt regret, self-loathing and anger that I never told you. So, I'll wait. But promise me, you will sort it out. Promise me. Eventually you give me an answer, she said. Naruto placed a hand in her cheek. As he looked at her lips, his entire body tingled. He wasn't feeling anything, but his body was reacting towards everything. I will, he said. She smiled at that, literal tears in her eyes, as she was so happy to hear it. Time skip. Sesame stood in front of her father and her mother. I called off the marriage with Damien. I know, said Fukaku. Inabi told me. And your father told it to me, said Mikoto. She lowered her head. I understand that I am being selfish. That I went against the best wishes of the clan. But I raised her head. She heard her father said. As she slowly raised her head, she saw both her parents smiling. She was confused. As the both of them were smiling at her, she thought at least they would be a bit angry. But no, they were smiling. I have told you before, daughter, he said. This clan had survived without the marriage before, and it will same way. And I want you to be happy. Yes, we do, said Nagato. To be stuck in a loveless marriage is not something either of us want for you. Look at me and your father, she said. We might not always be together, but I know that he loves me, and I love him as well. And that is what we want for you, said Nagato. We want you to be happy. We were just waiting, said Fukaku, for you to realize that. I will handle things in the clan. There's nothing for you to worry about. Choose what makes you happy, said Nagato. As she had tears in her eyes, she moved forward as she hugged both of her parents. As Fukaku placed a hand on his daughter back and patted her back, Mikoto smiled. Thank you. The both of you, she said. Someone then entered the house. Mother, father, the voice called. It was Itachi. As the three of them breathed a hug, Sesame turned as she saw her older brother enter the house with Izumi. As Sesame waved at Izumi and smiled to her big brother Itachi, who seemed rather nervous, as Sesame wondered what was going on. Hello, Lady Mikoto, Fukaku-sama, said Izumi, as she bowed her head. This seems rather formal, said Fukaku as he turned towards his son, who looked nervous. He then looked back at Izumi. Sesame narrowed her eyes, as Mikoto was able to put it together, as a big smile came in her face. Meanwhile, that was going on, as Naruto returned back to his apartment. Despite loving the time back with his family, he really liked his space, and there was a lot for him to think about nowadays. There was a lot on his mind. What was going on with him exactly? And something still plagued his mind. What did he need to forgive himself for? He had no idea. He arrived and realized his apartment was unlocked. Not locked as he left it. Someone was inside. More than one person as he grabbed the notch and opened it. He stepped inside only to pause a bit at the scene in front of him, as he watched his brother and Sakura making out. The both of them were so enthralled in making out they didn't even notice, as Naruto simply stood there. You remember his mother said that Menma was out with Sakura many times before, and he had asked him about it. Menma had said that she was strong and a good woman, but he didn't exactly answer his question. Naruto was just realizing that now. So he was using his apartment for this. Many times when he was out on missions in return, he knew that someone was here. His family members are the only people that could come to this place. So this is what has been going on. Naruto simply walked past the sofa that were sitting on. Sakura froze, including Menma as they broke apart, as Naruto got himself a bottle of water. Oh, don't let me stop you, he said, as he simply made his way towards his room. Moments later, Menma came inside, as he saw Naruto watching TV. Well, said Menma, with a small blush on his face. You see, there's no reason for you to explain anything to me, said Naruto. As you said, she's a good girl, and she's one of my friends, and I wish you all the best. Just don't use my apartment as a hookup spot. Wait, have you guys done anything on my bed? No, of course not, said Menma. But this has happened before, hasn't it? Yeah, said Menma. Sorry about not telling you. It was just a spur of the moment thing and we never defined what we were yet, so I didn't really know what to say. Like I said, Menma. Do you, said Naruto. You okay, said Menma. Yeah? I heard that Grandma and Ibiki did a psychiatric evaluation on you. Yeah, it took hours, said Naruto. At least that they said that you were 100% okay. No mental issues at all after what you've been through. Yeah, given that they tortured the shit out of me, said Naruto. It was rather painful, but I endured it. But the next time we meet, it will be the third time. And you know what they say about the third time? The third time is a charm, said Menma. This time they won't escape. Father has finally agreed with your plan. We already have 2 of the tail beasts in our possession. They only have 2 remaining. Konoha, with us by its side, we can do this. We can win this war. As Naruto looked down toward his palm. What's wrong? I feel different. What do you mean you feel different? My emotions. They're coming back. What? Said Menma as he came over. Easy, said Naruto. Don't go around telling anyone, especially not mom or dad or grandma, okay? Look, it's not fully back or anything like that, but my body has been reacting in certain ways. You know I made out with Sesame. You what? Yeah, said Naruto. We were finally able to sort things out. The only thing I could think about was holding her and kissing her. Passion, Menma said. Yeah, but I still didn't feel anything. Menma sighed. So what does this mean? I'm not sure, said Naruto. But I'll figure it out. But don't tell anyone, I don't want to get their hopes up, just in case this is a fluke. You got that? Don't worry, said Menma as he smiled. I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that they're finally coming back. I don't need them now, said Naruto. What are you talking about, said Menma. Of course you need listen, said Naruto. If I do get them back right now, they're gonna hold me back on the battlefield. Tell me something, Menma. If I were to go out there in the battlefield, and suddenly start to feel all of these emotions, like regret, and sympathy for my enemies, do you know how much that will cost us? I have my emotions, said Menma, and I am your efficient shinobi, but you hold back, said Naruto. You hold back because sometimes you don't want to hurt people. But me on the other hand, I'm ruthless, Menma. I don't hesitate, and I kill our enemies. You would defeat the enemy, and tie them up, but I never do that. I take their heads clean off. And this is what we need for the war right now. So I need to make sure I can suppress it for as long as possible. So you're willingly suppressing your emotion now? No, said Naruto, but if it does come back, I need to hold off until I'm ready. Till this war is over. Look, Katsumi is growing up. I don't want to ever lose a sister again, or brother. The pain was too much when we lost Mito. Our whole family was almost broke apart because of the stress, the pain, the regret, and I don't want that to happen again. If we stop this once and for all, there won't be another war. Because this time, we will strip their titles away from them. They will no longer be hidden nations. They will just be smaller villages that belongs to Konoha. Because once we do this, Konoha will take over. Kumo and the stone. We didn't start this, they did. Countless at times. Even though father tried to bring peace, they continuously tried to attack us. Many of our shinobis got killed in the past because these ninjas has been dressing like missing names and slaughtering our shinobis. We are not the ones wrong here, they are. And I need this ruthlessness, Menma. Because when the time comes, I need to be on my top game. No holding back, going for the kill. I guess you're right, said Menma. But if you start to feel your emotions, tell me, if there's a chance of you coming back to what you really were, that is the best possible situation. Screw this war. We can still win. Our powers are enough. You might have your emotions, but that doesn't make you any less of a shinobi. So promise me that, Menma said. Fine, I promise. Remember not to tell anyone, said Naruto. Menma raised a fist. As Naruto fist bumped him. What are brothers for, he said. Time skip. The two boys stood in the office. Jiraiya was in there, along with Minato. It will take them a few more days. But it seems like each nation will be giving off 20,000. Minato placed a hand on his desk as he used as leverage to hold up his face. As he went into a thinking position. Konoha can only muster up 20,000 shinobi to bring on the battlefield, while the rest of them need to stay here to protect their homes. The San is willing to offer them 7,000. Kiri would not be participating in this war, but Mei had assured him that she would be there at the end of it. If Konoha is weakened, they can ask for aid from Kiri. The number is still higher than we expected. 20,000 each make 40,000. Said Menma. Wait, aren't they angry at each other right now? I mean, the stone had Naruto, and they pretended like he was dead. They wanted your tail beast so they could use it against Kumo in the future. I'm sure the Raikage has to figure that out. Even if he has, he still has to go through it. Said Jiraiya. If he backs out now, he will be obliterated by us, and he knows that. He needs a stone, despite the treachery that Anki has already done to him. They might fight after this war. No, they won't, said Naruto. As they all looked towards him, for this to properly end, Those Kages need to die. The Raikage is too headstrong. Even if we take his Jinjurikis and decimate his forces, he will still try in the future. Same go for Oniki and that granddaughter of his. If Konoha is gonna fully take over those two nations, to spread his influence across the land of fire, going into other territory, their life need to be taken. You said to yourself, father, you want this to be the final war. So that is the only way. Their numbers might seem a lot, but they have weakened greatly. With the loss of their two tail beasts, the only thing to worry about is the 2 and the 8 tails. Menma, with his Mokiton can handle the other 2 tail beasts and suppress them. I myself can do the same. Father, your Fuinjutsu skills can easily suppress them. As a future, I'm not sure about the 8 tails, but the 2 tails is something easy for you to handle. All of the lieutenants that you pick for the commander position, they have the proper mind to lead it. So they might have the number, but they will fall. Minato looked towards his son. As he saw a look in his eyes, he was dead serious, but he was right. This needs to be the last war. What about Taki? Said Naruto. Minato looked towards him. They haven't done anything. They are still neutral to Konoha, but they still possess a tail beast, said Naruto. Same go for the Kazekage, said Jiraiya. We can't just take them all. Kumo and the stone, yes, but the others, that would incite a world war. Naruto, don't tell me no, said Naruto. I might move into things rashly, but I don't want that either. That would be pointless. Minato sighed in relief that his son was not thinking for them to go against a world war. That was good. But the other nations won't stand by. If this is done, Konoha would get too much more powerful. The San and Kiri would seem like nothing compared to us. Resentment is easy to build, Menma said. The Mizukage is a good woman, said Naruto. But her counsel is a different matter. Same go for Gaara. But with the expanding of the land and the San help and Kiri offering their services when we prevail, they can get some of the reward, said Naruto. Indeed, said Minato. Things can be split to keep the peace amongst the three of us, but Konoha would still remain on top. As Jiraiya nodded, Naruto noticed the man was hesitating with something else. Something on your mind? I have more information on the Akatsuki leader. So that's so, said Naruto. I found his location. You did, said Naruto. And where exactly is he? The Hidden Rain. What? I thought Hanzo, apparently. Hanzo is dead, said Jiraiya. And the leader is now there. A man that is going by the name as Pain. So he's the leader, huh, said Naruto. A man that could control so many S-rank missing names. He must be powerful. I think I should go there, said Jiraiya, and find out exactly what is going on. Alone, said Minato. No, he won't, said Naruto. Jiraiya looked towards Naruto as he was about to say something about that. There's too much ways that this could go wrong. You could either walk into that village and be killed on sight by this unknown enemy that could control so many missing names. I fought them myself, and they weren't weak. And if a man had the power to control them all, that means he would slaughter you, said Naruto. You might be a Sani in the name and all that, but unknown enemy, you walking in like that, you will be killed. And that's not the only problem. The stone is near to the Hidden Rain. At this moment, they are angry. Onki is furious, but he will not outright attack Konoha because he knew going in headstrong will get him killed. But he will try some underhand means, like trying to ambush you. Getting covered by a platoon of shinobis, even with your strength you'll be overrun. To see Konoha lose, they're strong fighters right now, is the best thing that they want. That is why we should go with you. Yeah, said Menma. The three of us can handle anything that is thrown our way. This Akatsuki leader is unknown. If you decide to interfere while the battle is going on, things can turn out more differently, and we don't even know whose side he's on. What if he chooses a side himself with other villages. And bring the hidden rain in as well. That will be more problem. That is why, said Naruto. We do this, quickly, before we start the war, to assassinate this leader of the Akatsuki, whoever he is. Meanwhile, A was furious. No, it was more than that, he was livid. No, he was cross, he was angry. As A looked towards Oniki with a calm expression. If it wasn't for this war, I would send my forces to march towards the hidden stone and decimate your village, said A. The man was dead serious as he looked straight into Oniki's eyes. At this crucial moment, we need to stick together. We should not be fighting against each other, said Oniki. Fighting against each other, A said. You were planning on betraying me. You took 9 tails when I asked. When I made sure to confirm that you indeed killed that boy, you told me that yes. The boy was dead and yet you had him for yourself. Not only that, you were stupid enough to let him escape, and not only that, he took your tail pieces. How stupid and retarded could you be? Oniki clenched his fists. That was a mistake on my part, but I will not stand here for your insults. As Ace smashed his fist in the table, obliterating it, Oniki guard stepped forward. As A guard stepped forward as well. If it wasn't for this war, I already told you, Shikage, we would be at war right now. But I need you at the moment, because if we don't work together, Konoha will obliterate us. As Oniki clenched his fists, he knew that, of course. Suddenly a swirling vortex popped in. Maybe I could help with that. Immediately, everyone was on guard. A masked man stepped out with a cloak. Akatsuki, Oniki said, immediately recognized the cloak. Ah, Oniki. It's about time that we talk. Seems like you people need some help in these dire situations. Meanwhile, all of that was going on, as there was a man in a cave. Something was moving under his cloak. This man had been forgotten. A few months ago he thought that he was a waste of space, nothing but a lackey to always follow a chain of command, always be a follower and never a leader. But now he has evolved. He has evolved into the person that people should follow. This man was none other than Kabuto Yakuji, currently working with the masked man. They had a plan formed up, and they were gonna sit back and enjoy the show. As Kabuto laughed to himself, things were going perfectly. Meanwhile that was going on. You just got back, said Kushina, as she looked towards Naruto angrily. As Naruto placed a hand on his mother's shoulder. As Kushina sighed. Look, I know you're a ninja, and you and I both want the safety of Konoha to prevail. But you just got back. I don't want to lose you again, she said to him, as she looked at her beloved son. As Naruto smiled, calmed her heart. Don't worry, Mom, he said. I will be coming back. After all, your birthday is coming up soon, said Naruto. And how could I miss that? Kushina smiled here and that. As she hugged her son. Just be safe, okay? I will. I promise. As she made her way to talk to Menma as well, to make him be safe on the road out there. They were going on a mission, along with Jiraiya. It was a dangerous one. Footsteps could be heard as Naruto turned and Scotsman jumped right on him as he caught her in his arms. Again, she said, a sad look on her face. Come on, cheer up, said Naruto, as he bobbed her on the nose. Fine. But you're gonna have to make it up to me for leaving so much time. What do you want, said Naruto. Oh, I know, a brother and sister. Spa day, she said, as Naruto face faltered at that. As she giggled. That's what I want. Nothing else, nothing more. Alright, fine. As she smiled at that. That's why you're the best big brother ever, she said. She hugged him. And what about me? Said Menma as he came back with Kushina. As she looked towards Menma. You know I love you too, big brother, she said. I love the both of you. I love everyone. As he came over and ruffled her hair and gave her a smile. Kushina looked towards her two boys. They were no longer boys, they were men. But to her, they would always be her baby boys, no matter what. As she imagined them younger, playing around, and it made her smile. Time skip. The group had departed. As they made their way towards the hidden rain, at the moment Minato was in his office, along with Fukaku, as they just finished talking over some final strategies that they were going to embark in this war, with the help of the Uchiha. As they were finished talking, the both of them looked through the window. My daughter called her for marriage with Damien. Is that so? Said Minato. Is she okay? Are you okay? He asks. From head leader to Hokage, I never really liked Damien. I could tell, said Minato. It didn't seem like most people like him. We Uchihas are arrogant, yes, but his attitude is just a bit too much for most people. It can really piss some people off. It seems like my daughter is choosing love over the clan. So what does this mean for her? Inabe had saw that his son was not in the right state of mind. He was willing to trade his ancestral blade just for a battle. But your son was good enough to hand it back to him. That brought him great respect in Inabe's eyes. So there's not much fuss over it. The Uchiha clan has prevailed before this marriage, and it will even if the marriage is not happening. But I just want to see my daughter happy. If most people were to see you right now, Fukaku of the Wicked Eye, being so sentimental, said Minato with a smirk. You talking about me being sentimental? Said Fukaku, as Minato chuckled as rubbed back of his head. So, what now? Well, that's up to my daughter and your son. Yes, it is indeed up to them, said Minato. Meanwhile, at the hidden rain, as Nagato was currently looking through the path of Diva eyes that looked over his village, he didn't know what this feeling was. A feeling that he has never felt before as a god. It was dread, anxiety. He hasn't felt these feelings since he was a young, naive boy. But now that it was there, for some strange reason he did not know. Things were going as expected, the war was coming soon. So why did he feel this way? He had no idea. He decided to focus on his village, making sure that his village is protected. That is what he wants above all other things after all. To make sure that the hidden rain stay protected. Time skip. The feeling never went away, as Nagato was perplexed about this. It wouldn't go away no matter what, as he cursed in anger. Although he kept himself calm, he felt a feeling of dread. Was something happening that he was unaware of? Suddenly, he felt 3 new chakra signatures enter his village. As his eyes opened, he looked over to the side. Konan, it seems we have visitors. Meanwhile, at Konoha, Sesame and Sakura had become best friends ever since. The both of them were placed in a team together, and Sakura had tried her best to be there for Sesame when Naruto was said to be dead. Sakura was surprised by that because, knowing Naruto, she thought that he could never fall. But she was happy to hear that he was actually alive, and she was greatly saddened to see Menma like that. She didn't know when it happened. Ever since Mito had told her to be a true kunoichi, her childish attitude and that crush that she had on Sasuke started to fade away. She didn't know when she started to feel things for Menma, but one day it was just there. I have to tell you something. Given everything that was going on, I felt that it was not the proper time. But now that he's back, and you told me that you've, well, sorted out some of your feelings with him. I've been making out with his brother. Sesame spat out the tea that she was drinking. What? As she blinked in surprise, looking towards Sakura. Sakura looked towards her with a nervous smile. Why didn't you tell me? Well, you were going through a hard time after what Naruto did. I'm the only one that you told about it. You didn't tell anyone else. It made me so angry at him, but I never tell him or anyone else that I knew. So I didn't think that it was right to tell you that I liked his brother. But now that you told me about his, well, condition, she whispered. Sesame had confided to Sakura. She was her best friend. And Sakura would not tell anyone because she told Sakura about what happened between her and Naruto. What he did after she had told him that she liked him. And Sakura kept her mouth shut the entire time. And Sakura had been angry at Naruto for what he did. So Sesame had to tell her what his Naruto going through. And it made Sakura understand a bit better. Sakura was just happy to see that her friend was happy. So, you and him a thing now? Well, we've talked about it and we see no problem in telling other people about it. So I guess, yeah. But I won't do anything out of the way to make you feel bad or anything, huh? Well, we don't want, well, I don't want to make you think that I'm being all happy with his brother while you can't be with Naruto because of what he's going through. Sesame smiled. And that's why you're my best friend. But you don't have to worry about anything. Go on. If you like him, be with him. I'm glad for you. You know, I always thought that you would end up with my brother. Sasuke? Well, me too, but I guess things change. Yeah. I always thought that Menma would end up with Hinata, to be honest. Yeah, he told me about that. But things didn't work out between them. But Hinata is on her way to become clan head. And she had married out of the clan. That position would have been taken away from her. Well, I guess things work out for the better then. I didn't want to say anything, but there's someone that Sasuke likes. I didn't want to make you feel bad because I didn't know that you were with Menma. Don't worry, I'm happy for him. He's one of my good friends, despite everything. You all are my good friends, but you're my best friend. I say to me, smile. Let's just hope everything works out. Time skip. At the secret location, Kabuto had his hood over his head as he stood in front of the two Kages. Edo Tensei, he said, as he slammed his hand down. A coffin rose up. Stepping out of that coffin was the second Tishikage, Genjutsu Hoshiki. As the Raikage blinked in shock, as well as the Tishikage. So, this is a reanimation jutsu, huh? Indeed, said the masked man. As you can see, bringing back the shinobis from the past to help in our upcoming war will be a great help to your forces. But that is not all. As he opened a swirling vortex, as a white Zetsu came out, they will also be helping you. Why, said Raikage, why give us all these troops? Because I want the same thing. I want to see Konoha fall. In a new world. Perhaps then that we can come to a reasonable agreement. And what might that be? Asked Tishikage. Well, given the fact that the both of you will be in charge of our new world, I would want us to be in a good relationship, if I must say. The both Kages narrowed their eyes at each other. This is indeed a good offer. But why should we trust you? Well, think of it this way. That boy has wiped out the Akatsuki members of my organization, and it has angered me. It's for a bit of payback. And not to mention when history is rewritten, I want to be on the side that has a pen and a paper. As he smiled at the both of them under his mask. As Kabuto looked towards them. So, my Kages, he said, looking towards both of them. Do we have a deal? He asked them. Meanwhile that was going on, Jiraiya was making his way. After tickling the location out of one of the ranged nobis, the largest tower. He hadn't called Naruto or Menma yet, because he wanted to see the enemy first. He wanted to see if it was someone that was that strong or someone that he could take, so the boys wouldn't have to lift a finger against them. It was then that he saw something as he moved. The ground was destroyed, with paper wings coming down. He blinked in shock as he looked towards the paper wing. He then looked up towards the face. It can't be. Conan? You shouldn't have come here, Jiraiya-sensei, she said, as she released hundreds of paper projectiles that came towards him with such speed. He flipped away, but they were coming too fast. He slammed his hand together. His hair extended and turned into a lion's mane, blocking all of her attacks before they turned to Senbon as they fired outwards. As she flew away, Conan, why are you doing this? He said. You shouldn't have come, Jiraiya-sensei, but you'll get in the way if I don't take care of you right now. He blinked as he heard that voice. He looked up as he saw 6 people standing there, all of them looking down at him with such menacing eyes. It can't be. Nagato? Wait, Yaiko? We're not either. We are Pain. The robot bat leaped forward and fired several projectiles. Jiraiya moved as they exploded the ground. Before he could run though, he felt something strange as he was yanked back. Before Jiraiya could say anything, a fist smashed into his back. As he slammed into the earth, all 6 Pain jumped him at once. They didn't give him a chance as Jiraiya was blown away. He smashed into an iron beam as he coughed up blood. His face was grabbed as he felt his chakra being leashed away from him before he was thrown. Something slammed into his back as he cried out in pain. He crashed right into the earth before a hand slammed into his face that was ejected from the robot path hand. As Jiraiya was picked up in mid-air, Tendo raised his hand. Universal pull. Jiraiya was yanked straight down towards him as Tendo pulled a black rod. Given the circumstances, he couldn't waste time with Jiraiya here. He had to focus on the major threat, and Jiraiya was not it. Wood style. Trap embodiments the voice. The paths move out of the way as ground burst open. Jiraiya was grabbed by many vines of wood that wrapped around him and yanked him away from the position. As he was brought over to safety and collapsed right down beside Menma, Jiraiya coughed up blood as he was barely able to move. As he just received the beating of his life within seconds, he could barely react in time as all 6 of them had jumped him. As he coughed up more blood, he had internal bleeding as his eyes were hazy. His eyes refocused. He was still in a bad condition. He was sure that his right arm was broken from the contact. His left leg was in a bad position as well. As he looked up towards Menma, "Seems you got yourself in some trouble, Sensei," said Menma, as he looked around all of the paths. "You got here faster than I expected," said Tendo. "I'm afraid that I'll have to deal with you first, Jiraiya-sensei, before getting towards the main event." "Jiraiya-sensei," said Menma. "Who are these guys, Jiraiya?" Menma asked. "My former students." "I don't know what happened to them," Jiraiya said as he wiped his mouth of the blood. "Nagato, Conan, Yaiko, what's going on?" As Menma looked up in the sky to see the angel flying, she had paper wings. "Stop this. We don't have to fight." "There's no other option, Sensei," said Yaiko. "He's right. There is none," said the voice. As Naruto arrived out of nowhere, a sword in his hand that he already unsheathed. "So you're the one who sent the other Akatsuki members after me?" As Tendo narrowed his eyes down towards Naruto, Jiraiya cursed. He didn't want this. "We can talk," he said. "I don't know what happened to you guys, but you don't have to do this." "You're still naive as always, Sensei. There's only one way that we can end this, and this is by bringing the 3 of you down. The last time you managed to evade the rest of the Akatsuki members, but this time, Nine-Tailed Jinchuriki, you will be captured. Because a mere mortal like yourself can't stand in front of a god. It doesn't matter how strong you are. A god. Do you have divinity? Or is it because of those eyes of yours? Does that make you special?" "Well, I too have special eyes," said Naruto. "So I guess that means I'm a god as well." "Don't compare yourself to me. We're not in the same league," said Nagato. "Is that so?" said Naruto. "Well then," as he created 4 clones. The clones went around Jiraiya and rushed to hand sign. As they slammed their hand on the ground, a purple barrier erupted. "We didn't come here to talk," said Naruto. "And these guys aren't up for talking. There's only one way to settle this, and that's by me taking their heads." Menma stepped beside Naruto. He's right, Jiraiya. There's only one way to end this. I can see it in your eyes. They don't want peace. They want war. So let's give them what they asked, brother, said Menma. Thought you would never say that, said Naruto. Let's go. But guys, if you end episode right here, if you want the next part to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification as I posted. Remember, share to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also guys, stay in tune for the rest of what is coming your way, but I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace.